This is my first video recording for some time. Those of you that have kind of watched before, you'll know that I started these last year. However, due to a number of factors, it kind of fell by the wayside. But last week I attended the CMA Live conference in Edinburgh, a 2-day business conference hosted by Chris Marr. You should check it out if you're interested in developing your business. It's a really great couple of days where you learn lots about content marketing and just general kind of business development. Anyway, Sharon Menzies from Influx Recruitment, who is also a friend of mine, I've known Sharon for a few years through our businesses, did a 15-minute talk on how content marketing has changed her business. She talked about dabbling and being all in, and it really kind of struck a chord with me. So here I am, a week after CMA Live, doing a video recording, and my plan is to do something weekly. Sharon and the other speakers at the CMA spoke a lot about consistency, and that's obviously something from an HR perspective that we advise on in terms of consistency and best practice. So my plan is to be more consistent and try and get more content out there. So enough about that. What I want to talk about today is one of the things that we get asked quite a bit is when and how you should outsource your HR. So I guess there's no right or wrong reason as to when. You might be a startup business, so you might think that is appropriate to outsource your HR, or you might be a business with 50 or more staff and thinking about outsourcing your HR. It's really up to you in terms of what you want your HR to be within your own business. What I can help with, though, is some tips on the key things to consider after you've made that decision to outsource, really around the type of provider that you're going to outsource to. So there's kind of 10 key things that I think that you should kind of look at if you have made the decision to outsource your HR function. The first one, number one, is to check the length of the contract. So is a long-term contract right for you? Many companies, ourselves included, offer retained HR services. And what companies such as ours do is perhaps look at a 1-year retainer, 3 years or 5 years. I guess these types of contracts always suit the HR provider more than it suits you, the client, but I guess what you need to decide, is that right for you? You have no way of knowing what your requirements are going to look like over the kind of medium to long term. Things can easily change from 1 month to the next, and I know that from being a business owner myself. So I guess I'd probably suggest, instead of looking for a contract that's, tying in long term, I'd be looking for something a little bit more flexible that is probably no longer than a year and gives you some flexible terms, like options for hourly or monthly rates that reflect the service that you use. That way you're not going to end up paying for a service that you don't need or you're never going to use. I don't know if it's the right thing or not, but most of our retainer contracts all have a 90-day notice period, so that ensures our customers are not tied in long term. But I know a number of businesses certainly do 1 year, 3 year and 5 year, but it's certainly not something that we do that often. As I say, whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but certainly I don't feel comfortable tying customers into long-term contracts. Number two is, don't make a decision because someone has put the fear of death into you. I've attended hundreds of networking events over the years, and it always amazes me when I meet other HR consultants or HR employment law companies who try to strike the fear into people. So employment law can appear complicated, and yet employment tribunals are expensive. So you might think that buying some kind of insurance is a good way of gaining some peace of mind. But however, the kind of reality around that is that there's lots of things that you can do to avoid tribunal, and a lot of it is around your kind of policies and your procedures, what you put into practice. And while some employment lawyers and HR consultants will paint a really negative picture, reality is that these claims aren't that frequent. So I wouldn't certainly be buying based on fear. Number three is to check whether you're dealing with a call centre. So, what does the HR company really mean when they're telling you they've got ongoing dedicated 24/7 support? Is that a dedicated HR advisor? You need to kind of check that out in terms of who you're going to be speaking to. I certainly wouldn't take legal advice from a call centre, and I'm sure you're the same. So why would you want to take HR advice from one as well? So I think what you need to try and do is establish what area of expertise the advisors in these call centres have. Are they qualified, relevant experience, etc. So that's certainly something to check out. The fourth point is check if you're going to be speaking to the same consultant or advisor every time you make contact. HR support for me is about trying to build lasting relationships, and if you're outsourcing your HR, you need to have a dedicated point of contact or a dedicated team that you're dealing with. It's something that we pride ourselves on as a business, is really getting to know our clients. And I guess from a customer's point of view, if you're having to speak to someone new every time you've got a query, you're always having to start at the beginning, and it doesn't really do much to fulfill you with confidence that the relationship and the advice that you've been given is correct. The fifth point is to check if the service that they're providing is going to include any face-to-face meetings. So again, HR for me, as I've said, is about trying to build relationships. So if you want a face-to-face meeting with your HR provider, then that's certainly something that you should be able to do. Yeah, technology is there, and it's great being able to do stuff over Skype, WebEx and things like that, which is great, but sometimes you just want a face-to-face meeting just to, clarify what route you need to take. So that is a really effective way for an HR consultant to get a good understanding of your business and your people. And if you had an in-house HR support team, then that's exactly what you would do. So if you've got providers who are trying to restrict the face-to-face meetings simply to keep the cost down, then I think you certainly need to be clarifying that at that point. For me, I love getting out to see our clients, and I know the rest of the team do as well. So I would struggle to understand why an HR company wouldn't want to include some face-to-face meetings as part of the service. The sixth point I wanted to mention is what HR admin support is included. So again, it's not just about having some advice over the telephone or via email. There's a lot of stuff that you need some support with. That might be around recruitment, in terms of placing job adverts, job descriptions, making job offers, the new hire process, onboarding in terms of induction, all the paperwork associated with that, day-to-day HR administration, and then the exit process if someone leaves, in terms of the exit interview, and notification to the employee that they're leaving in terms of final payments, etc. So again, that's all stuff that takes time, and from a business point of view, you're outsourcing your HR to take that pain away and also save some time. So Emma and our team is our dedicated HR administrator, and what that allows myself and John to do is to focus on more of the complex cases and not get involved in the day-to-day administration. But again, that really helps our clients that they've got a dedicated HR administrator to help with these types of queries. Seventh point is double check the costs. So many providers out there will give a kind of basic HR advice line, and leaving you really to make decisions around risk and what action you need to take. And then there might be hidden costs added to that around, if there's a face-to-face meetings required, or you're having to kind of make further kind of decisions, or if you're looking for them to maybe do the letter for you, disciplinary notes, all these kind of things. So there might be other things that they then factor in. So again, really essential that you double check the costs around what you're actually paying for and what you're going to get. It's also worth looking at what additional services the provider will offer. So that's point number 8. So that might include things like newsletters, updates to HR and employment law, any ebooks, updates to your HR documentation. So what happens when there's changes to legislation? Does the HR provider do that for you? Is there an additional charge for that, or is that all included as part of the service? Do they provide any workshops and seminars to you and your team? So is that all things that are included as part of that HR service? And from my point of view, these are all things that you absolutely should be getting as part of a retained service. So again, definitely check that out. The ninth point is what happens when your consultant or advisor is on holiday. So that's an important one for you and your business. And certainly before I built a team at the HR booth, my laptop and phone would go with me on holiday to ensure that I could still service my clients. It still does, but probably not to the same extent. It's not ideal for me from an HR point of view, but when you start out, you don't have any option. You've got to look after your customers, and that's really important as the business grows as well. But for you, if that is something that you're outsourcing, then you want peace of mind that your consultant is going to be available. So you need to kind of check that out. If it is a one-man band or a one-lady organisation, what happens there when that consultant's off on holiday? Have they got support in place to cover that, or is it a larger team? Who is it you're dealing with? So you're paying for a retained service, so that's what you need to get, regardless of the holiday situation for your HR team. And the 10th and final point is check out testimonials and references. So, look at what other companies are using that provider. You can ask for the contact names for at least 2 of their other customers, so you can perhaps phone them or email them. And I don't see any reason why the HR provider wouldn't be able to give you that. You might also want to check out their website. Most companies these days will have a testimonials page. They might have something within their marketing material. You might want to check out third-party websites such as the Best Of or Trustpilot, and really, look at the testimonials and recommendations that are out there, so you know exactly what you're buying, and also just to kind of check the industry, the sectors and things like that they've kind of worked in. So that's really important. So I hope that's helped you in your kind of search and helping you reach a decision when it comes to looking for an HR provider. If there's anything that you want to get in touch with, you can certainly reach out to me on our website, which is www.thehrbooth.co.uk. You can keep up to date with a lot of HR news and business related information by signing up to our newsletter or just by reading our blog. So you can check that out at the website as well. So thanks for watching, and as I said at the beginning, there's going to be a lot more content coming out in the future. But if there's anything that's on your mind, feel free to get in touch.